I think there are three important questions that we ask ourselves, maybe subconsciously, maybe we ask out loud, I don't know. But who am I? And what do I want? And where am I going? Who am I? What do I want? And where am I going? We ask ourselves these questions, or we at least think about it. But the Bible tells us, it gives us answers to these questions. Let's start with, who am I? Jesus answers in the Bible, you are a divinely designed child of God. In the midst of all of this that's going on in the world, we are a divinely designed child of God. How do I know that? Because in Genesis 1:27, it says this, so God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. You ever think about that? Do you ever think about being created in the image of God? You're doing something that you know you're probably not supposed to do or whatever. Does the thought that you were created in the image of God cross your mind? Or you're out helping somebody that needs help, and this thought comes that, I'm created in the image of God. Christians, we are created in the image of God. It holds us total accountability to our God. Who he is, what he stands for. Russell Kessler, in his poem, put it this way. You are who you are for a reason. You are part of an intricate plan. You are a precious and perfect, unique design. God's called special woman or man. You are who you are for a reason. You've been formed by the Master's rod. You are who you are, beloved, because there is a God. That says it all right there. We are who we are because of God. He created us to do certain things for him, planned out years before we ever came into the world, because he has a plan for each one of us. The problem we have with the plan, God's plan for us, is that we allow sin to clutter our minds, to clutter how we think. We make poor choices. We become slaves to secondary causes. We try to become many gods. And I'm talking M-I-N-I when I'm talking that way. And when we try to do that, and when we do that, we lose sight and lose the meaning of what it is to be a human being. Think about it. We're created in the image of God. We have the ability to reason. We have the ability to think. Think. Solve problems. We have the ability to work. We're made for relationships with other people. We're made to be free moral agents with the ability to distinguish right from wrong, truth from lies. And we can do all these things because we were created in the image of God. Now, we're not God, because no one can be like him, because we don't know how he thinks. We don't know all the things about him. But we kind of get lost in this thing about who we are. Who am I? Why am I here? What's the purpose of me being on this earth? We stray from God's ways like sheep that scatter, and the shepherd has to go get them. We follow the devices of our own heart rather than listening to what God has to say. And we're happy to live that way. I read this the other day, and this is what this person said. Even the best of sinners are not very good at it, because deep within each of us, marred by sin, there remains the image of God. You ever thought about that? We're not very good at sin because it's not what God created us to be. Kind of hit home. So what do I want? In the Bible, back to when Jesus' birth, wise men or magi came from the east and asked, "Where's the one that was born King of the Jews?" They'd followed the star and had gotten to Bethlehem. But have you ever stopped to really think, who were these guys? What were they looking for? What did they want? What caused them to travel 500 to 1,000 miles in search of a baby? Not just any baby, but a Jewish baby. They were from either Iran or Iraq, one of those two places. These guys didn't know what the Torah was. They couldn't recite the Ten Commandments. They knew nothing about Jewish prophecy. They were just guys that were following a star and longing to find out all the meaning to life. And that's really what we do every day. We live our lives trying to find out what the true meaning of life is. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? And then we have, what do I want? I don't know about want, but maybe it's what we long for. Our deepest heart's desire. A guy by the name of Pascal said, at the core of our human identity, there is a God-shaped vacuum. There's this place that we have. And it's a vacuum. And as we go through this world, we try to find the meaning of it, and we should be trying to fill that vacuum with a God. A guy by the name of Sangster said, right at the core of our being, there is a hunger for something to define and almost embarrassing to confess, but which still remains when this world has given us the finest things and every tangible fear has been driven away. He said what it boils down to, we got all the toys, we got everything that man could have, or if we don't have it, we could buy it, or we could go get it. And I'm speaking here in generalities. But he said, what is it that when we gather and get all of this stuff that we want, that we think is going to fill that void that's in our heart? What is it that we could ever want that would fill it? And he says that it's God. That it's God. We've got this void for God. But it's hard to express it. You know, I was thinking about, y'all know, does ice cream truck come in your neighborhood? It doesn't?
Okay.
Not anymore. I was looking one day when he was coming through Fairmont, and that music that's out of tune and drags and all this kind of stuff is so annoying. But he'll stop at some place and kids will line up wanting to buy something from the ice cream truck. You know, and I think about the times that back when I lived in Rome, Georgia, and I was just a young whippersnapper. We had ice cream trucks that came around our neighborhood. Kids would come out from everywhere because they'd hear that crazy music. And we knew we wanted something, but we get in line and we can't make up our mind what it is we really want, what it is we really need. What are we going to get when we get up there and talk to the guy and say, I want a whatever? I used to get an orange push-up. And that's the way it is with God. What do we really want in life? We want a relationship with God. And there's nothing else that will fill that void in our lives except that relationship with God. You know, we get all of this stuff, as I call it. We try to do good deeds. We buy houses, we buy and sell cars. We do everything we can possibly do to fill this void that we have. But the only thing that will do it is God Himself. And those who are here that know Jesus as Lord and Savior of their life, we know what it means to have Jesus in our hearts and not have to live with that void, wondering where we're going, what we're going to do. George Harrison, in case you don't know who he was one of the Beatles, was doing an interview with Larry King one day, not too long before he died, and this is what he told Larry King. Everything else in life can wait, but the search for God cannot wait. Everything in life can wait, but the search for God can't wait. And Larry King replied, I have a lot of respect for true people of faith. I have always searched. I envy people who have it. I just can't make the leap. There's so many people out there like Larry who can't make that leap. The wise men made it. and then found the Christ child. Then we have this last question of, where am I going? Do you know where you're going this morning? I'm talking about for sure. Do you know where you're going? Jesus said this in John 14, verses 1 through 3. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God, trust also in me. There's more than enough room in my Father's home. If this were not so, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am, and you know the way to where I'm going. Now, Thomas had a little difficulty understanding what God was talking about, and so did Philip. But if we don't know where we're going, then we need to position ourselves in a church and in a Sunday school so that we can hear the gospel over and over and over again until it hits home, until we realize that, when this life is over, if I'm going to heaven to live with Jesus, I better accept him in my heart right now. We talked about last week, God knows who's going to be saved and who's not. But he still gives us free will to make that choice. And this is what Jesus said. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. God says, you search for it, you're going to find it. But the search is on us. It's our purpose to do that. Let me ask you this morning, as you've lived your life so far, is there something you're searching for? Is there something that you just can't find to fill that void that's in your life or in your heart? You can come to church every Sunday, every Wednesday night, every time the church doors are open. But if you've got that void in your heart, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to achieve satisfaction until you turn your life over to Jesus. It's pure and simple. It's what he said. If you want to go to heaven and be with me, I got a place for you. Your reservation is made. All you've got to do is make me Lord and Savior of your life. Have you done that this morning? Everybody? Are you sure? If Jesus were to come back right now, see, that's already too late, because he says he's coming in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, and he'll be gone. But if Jesus were to come back sometime today, would you be ready? Would that void be filled, and not be a void, but be filled with Jesus? That's what I'm asking for you this morning. I'm going to ask Carol and Marcia to come and play. And I want you to examine yourselves while they play. to make sure that you know without a shadow of a doubt that you have Jesus in your heart and there's not that void, that you're still not searching for something. So please stand together and pray.